Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, we have this morning the Polaris from Jaeger LeCoultre, a really cool, sporty, elegant watch that is pretty hard to find in today's market, but we've got it in stock and we'll talk about the details in a moment. In 2018, Jaeger LeCoultre launched the Polaris as a revival for the 50th anniversary of the original Polaris watch from 1968. Though it's a really cool watch that is has a space in the sporty, elegant part of the market. If you're thinking of something that you might want, say a Rolex Datejust, but you want something that's different, or you were tempted by maybe an Omega Seamaster Aquaterra, or a Tudor Black Bay 41, this would really be a great addition to that market space, because with the Polaris, what the JLC has done is they've crafted a watch that it has a sporty feel to it, but it's not a full-on dive watch. So it's really practical for most people to wear most of the time. This one has the leather strap, which I really prefer to the steel bracelet, but it just has a great look to it. It's a no-nonsense watch. I love the dial's simplicity. There's no date on it, so if you're a no-date, symmetrical dial kind of guy like I am, this watch is going to be right up your alley. It just has the 12369, and then it has these trapezoidal markers for the batons for the other hours, and they're all coated in superluminova, so you get a lot of great Loom at night. You'll be able to tell the time, in any circumstance. But when you look at this case, the first thing that jumps out at you is these off-center crowns. So the bottom one is the traditional crown for winding and setting the watch. The top one, when you turn it, it actually moves this inner bezel. There's a chapter ring that you can use to time things, just like you would the bezel on a dive watch. So you can turn that to line up the starting mark with your minute hand and time all sorts of things. Gives it an interesting look. And when you're looking at the dial on this one, it does have several different sectors. It has different planes and different finishes. So around the area where the numbers are, it's almost a pebbly finish like you see on a Patek Philippe Calatrava. The outer chapter ring is sort of a matte finish, and then the center is a different finish as well. So it doesn't look inexpensive. It looks like a nice dial that you would expect from a company of the caliber of Jaeger LeCoultre, one of the premier watchmakers in the world. So they do everything in-house. Everything is designed, manufactured, assembled, and tested at their own workshops. And you can really see the attention to detail in this one. It has a lot of combinations of high polish and then brushed, high polish on the edge bevel of the lug. The lugs aren't real long, so it wears really well. It's a 41 millimeter case, similar to some of those other watches I mentioned at the beginning. But it really sits nicely on the wrist, and especially if you're someone with a smaller wrist, you'll appreciate the short lugs, that it'll sit great on the wrist even if you have a small wrist. Though it does have the double deployant buckle, and you can see this one is absolutely mint condition. The strap doesn't look like it's ever been worn. This one comes with box and papers and everything, but it's got the exhibition case back, which I love being able to see. Well, if you're going to invest in a handcrafted movement from a company of the likes of JLC, it's great to be able to see all that handcrafted workmanship. The rotor on this one is made out of tungsten, and it's noted, of course, here on the back that it has been subjected to the 1,000 hours of master control tests that JLC does. It's a crazy thing. Once the watch is all cased up, so this is different from the COSC certification for a certified chronometer, which is done just on the movement. Once it's cased, then they test it for 1,000 hours, and they test all sorts of things like shock resistance, magnetism, accuracy in different positions and at different temperatures. So it's been thoroughly tested. It's going to absolutely work great on your wrist. And I think that when we talk about how it looks on the wrist, that's where it really wins versus some of the other watches out there. It's definitely a bit under the radar because it doesn't look as recognizable as, say, if you were wearing a Datejust. But it's a sharp watch no matter how you look at it, and definitely something that should be a consideration for you for your collection.